Kyle the Scout asks, will GSP organized online events continue post-COVID when in-person events remove, and what might they look like? So the answer is yes. Yes, they would continue. We would just, of course, have less of them. Likely, the Galaxy series would be the Gold Squadron online series, and that's it. You know, I feel like that really, you know, we've tried a couple of different things. We did Space Jam. Right now we're doing the Flight Club Championships, which I love. All three of those are different forms of things that I love. But I feel that Galaxies is probably the most diverse version and the one that allows the most people to play. So that is what I would go with first. But also, post-COVID, we had been in talks with a couple, not just one, but two. You guys already knew that we were in talks to host a grand championship, but there was also in St. Louis at Warfare Weekend. But I was also working on bringing an additional grand championship or higher level premier level event to Chicago proper. So I was working on that, and of course FFG went kaboom during COVID. So I don't know what will come up of that, but we're also I want to do, if we can't get an official one in Chicago, I think I have a couple of plans for something really cool that we can pull off in person in Chicago that is more community driven. That isn't an official event, but we can, there's stuff coming. Will online play for GSP continue? Yes, there'll just be less of it, and look forward to some GSP in-person stuff as well. Oh, this one's really interesting. Guys, I'm going to give this one to you. So this is Ernastis Ramakaskis. Ernie asks, what do you think would be different if you played on a circular mat of roughly the same area? And would you be willing to try it? What do you think would be different? You played on a circle instead of a square.
You'd always be in the corner then, right?
This is true.
No, but seriously, I'm like, you wouldn't. There is no lane. Like, you hit the board edge, you gotta choose, and you gotta keep choosing too. Like, you can't just take a right turn and go straight down the board edge.
Yep. I'd say that's one thing that would be the big difference is you get less of those. I'm going to creep down my own board edge, or I'm going to creep down one side and then turn in. You'll always be, because of how the movement templates are, going straight is you're going to have to turn a lot earlier. But granted, they said about the same area. So I would assume while it's not going to make the area smaller, you're just making it a circle. Mm-hmm. So I'd be interested to try it. Probably be I think more difficult for swarms to play.
Oh yeah.
I'd be interested about the deployment zone setup, how that would work out.
I think the practical way for us to try it, even though let's say it's not the same like number of square inches, what if we took a mat and just cut it into a circle? We just cut the corners off. It's a circle now, so now you have less space, a little bit less space, and it's a circle. I mean, you probably, we probably end up engaging a lot sooner because you have to end up starting in a tighter area.
Yeah, I would feel like the middle board control would be super important then too, because you couldn't go and hide in the corner either.
All right, we're gonna have to try that. We're gonna have to try that once, and just see what happens, right? Like, because we don't know until we try it. Marcel, what do you think?
I would like it. I think it's a lot of fun. I actually don't think it would be as detrimental if the area was the same size. If it was cut the edges, then you'd probably want to trim down the list size to maybe like 170 points or something like that, just because when you're getting rid of area space, you want to kind of trim it down a little bit. But if it's the same area, the same volume, then I think it would just make it more interesting. And you'd engage faster. To their point, you just couldn't be able to like one straight down the board. It would make flanking a lot more interesting because you'd be coming around a circular edge to try to flank. And if you think about it, it would probably be more realistic because if you're looking at at combat, where you have two forces coming at each other, whether it's in person or in a in person, whether it's on land or especially out in space or in air battles, you're not coming in like the engagement area is not square. The engagement area is kind of oval, where the two forces are coming here, even if they're spread across wide, they're coming here, and it's you're engaging in the center. So the engagement area is probably more realistically round than it is just flat across.
And also probably with the fact that you're cutting off those corners into making it circular, I feel like while you lose the length of the deployment zone, I feel like you could still have deployment zone where it's just a certain measurement forward and just creates a line, and it slowly dissipates off the edges. So that farthest depth needs to be bigger than range 1. So maybe a 3 straight template instead of a range 1 fire band. Just more depth. But obviously it would taper off as it hits the rest of the curve.
Right. Huh. Interesting. All right. Cool. I like that question. We're gonna have to try something out there. And then next one is from Garrus909. They ask, how would you fix ships like the K-Wing, Y-Wing, and other B and C tier ships without major points changes? I'm talking slot changes or abilities.
Which ship? You said K-Wing.
K-Wing. They said K-Wing, Y-Wing. This sounds like a Rebel player from the.
I mean, theoretically, just lump any B or C tier ship that we would think is not competitive right now, and what would we do to change them on a slot or something that's more attainable to switch besides points, I guess, because points you're just throwing numbers out there.
All right, I think I got an ingenious one off the top of my head. A Star Fortress ability, okay, that says if you did not drop a bomb this round, you may perform a reinforce as you perform action.
I like that.
Be a way to get them a reinforce, but not too crazy. Hold it back a little bit.
I like that. I like
That's
that.
for the K-Wing?
No, on the Star Fortress. Man, that thing just needs a way to reinforce.
Oh, God, that thing.
Yeah, it needs to reinforce. But also, if it reinforces, there's no real pilots that are built around getting mods from it offensively. So
you got roast Tico and other kind of things.
how about on the flip side, we add another little fun part to that. If you did drop a bomb, what type of really low end passive mod could we do?
What about a calculate?
I calculate.
Yeah. Assign a calculate token to your ship. I don't know, you want it to be able to survive longer because there's a lot of points you invest in the Star Fortress. I've had thought so much because there are a lot of points, but you have to invest points to get back from it. The reinforce, you lose your ability to like actually mod your shots, but you have a lot of shots or a lot of arc coverage.
I mean, they're not as bad as you might think. They're like 60 points to trajectory bomblet right now. That's not that bad. I mean, I'm thinking more of like a simple, like that's pretty complex, but like something really simplistic, like what they did to the Jump Masters, where they just gave it a cannon, and wow, did that change that ship? What do you
Okay.
think is lacking? Marcel, you got strong opinions on bad ships.
Don't fly them, don't buy them.
By the way, I
The,
have available our tier list if we wanted to bring up any of those in your conversation. So
What's give us a dumpster one.
So a bad one, for example, I think is the Rebel TIE Fighter, the Sabine TIE Fighter. I don't know how you would fix that without lowering the points, because that's really the
I mean, what about like in first edition when they had a crew slot?
yeah, that was really good. Well, yeah, they had a title that gave them a crew slot.
Same thing.
So
So you'd have a config that would give it a crew, but like, what would be the negative? There has to be unless it's just pure points, like, right? You just say
Well-
add a crew, X cost.
yeah, if
Right.
you add a crew, then if you're throwing Leia in there, you're making that TIE Fighter 7 points more expensive. But now you got a very cheap support carrier, whatever crew you're having on there, whether it's Hondo or I mean, can you imagine a little TIE Fighter with Hondo on there?
Yeah, that would put that back into play though, right?
Yeah.
immediately.
Just a simple crew slot.
I like that. Yeah, there are definitely elegant ways to adjust ships. One of the risks with doing something like that, though, is you got to think about the future consequences, right? Like there might be a point where you say, like, okay, hey, we added this slot, but we realize that we can't create this certain cannon. Who knows what it would be? Because it'd be too good on a jump master. Who knows what that would be, right? I'm just, it's all theoretical. But when you change the design of a specific ship, you are affecting future design space. So that has that butterfly effect repercussions. That's why, for me, I know like the points. I prefer it just to be points at first, and see where you can go from there. And then I would say before adding slots, I would actually rather print a card for the ship that does something. So replace a slot, give it some type of different ability, and then you can take that slot and say, okay, it turns out it was too powerful. And then that one upgrade card, you're using the points now to raise and lower and find that equilibrium where it's like, all right, this is now fun, fair, and balance. You can use that. But I think, I guess my response to Garrus is that you always have to have the points change mechanism available with whatever you alter. Because if you do just a slot, I think for the jump master it was appropriate. I think it was appropriate because it was absolutely terrible, the worst, and the cannon wasn't too extreme. But again, you got to watch out for what you put on there because things can change pretty drastically in your design space.